Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're gonna do some Amazon FBA online book arbitrage, and let me go and send out the Discord notification so that people can get in here. So just 1 second, hold on with me. But let's do this. If you're someone who's watching this replay, just jump ahead a few minutes so that we can get everybody in here, and then you're not just waiting around. All right, so let's go ahead and take this, take that, send it to the Discord. We are live. Send now. Okay. Denise, good morning. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here as well. Palm Springs, right, Denise? Is that right? Did I get that? I think that's right. Palm Springs, right? Good morning, Eric. Nice to see you. Good to see you as well. All right. Let's see. What else did I want to do? Okay, I wanted to put on a little bit of music as well. I should have done that in the beginning, but it's all good. Let's do 15 lo-fi. Yeah. All right. Oh my gosh, we're just getting blown up. We got Steven Dallas here. What's up, Tom? Good to see you, Mike. What up? Oh, King Kifa. I love that. That's actually sick. I like that. Right. Palm Springs, says Denise. Good morning, Sarah. Nice to see you. Blaine, let's do some sourcing. All right, let's do it. Clearly, everyone's here for the sourcing. Let's get right into it. I got one question for you. If you like this format better, where my face is in the bottom left. So I'll open up a Google tab so you can see what it looks like. If you like this better, where my face is in the corner, give me a 1 in the chat. And if you like this version better, then give me a 2 in the chat. I'm thinking I like this one better, but I just don't know if the screen's too small. So like if we do some keeper research, I don't know if it'll be too hard. So let me just pull it up real quick. So like if I pull up this listing here, let's see what the keeper chart looks like, because as you know, like the keeper chart is always the most important thing of any sourcing. So what are we in right now? We're in 2 right now. So if you like this version better, if you can still see the keeper chart, give me a 2. Or if you prefer it to look like this, then give me a 1. And the reason why I say this is because in future videos when I record myself like this, it'd be helpful to know like which one looks better from the user experience. So let me know. So Eric's got 2, Sarah's got a 2. We got a 1. So we're kind of mixed right now. Okay, so maybe we'll just switch back and forth between both of them. Denise says 1. Okay, Walking Greg, good morning. This is my first time catching live. Awesome, Greg. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Okay, well, it looks like we're a little bit of a mixed bag, but you know what? That's okay. We'll just go. We'll do a little bit of both. How about that? Okay, let's get right into sharing my screen. And first thing that I'm gonna do is just start over on FlipMine. So if you're not familiar with FlipMine, I'm sure you are if you are here. I do quite a bit of eBay to Amazon flips, but one thing that I'll say is really helpful with FlipMine is if you're gonna allocate a certain amount of time to using FlipMine, I would allocate it over many small sessions rather than one large session, because one thing that you notice is that the best deals come up immediately and they're gone immediately. So it'd be better just to have this kind of up on a double monitor or something and have this page just refresh pretty frequently so that you can see the best listings. So I'm just gonna open up a couple of these first, do a little bit of live sourcing. This looks interesting. And then probably what we'll do is get into a little bit of, we'll do a little bit of keeper sourcing as well. So let's get started, everyone. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it so much. Let's just get into it. So we got 31 bucks on eBay. If we go over here to Amazon, looks like we're at $28, and Kiva doesn't provide any data for this. So interesting. There's just no Kiva graph for that book. So let's do this one's 49. It's about 40 bucks over here on Amazon. So clearly that's not going to be a good deal. Plus the sales rank didn't look so great. Now here's an interesting copy because this was restricted for me. This was 37 bucks. Let me just make sure I'm sure. Okay, this is 37 bucks here on eBay, and obviously it has a little bit more value over on Amazon. Like look at the buy box is 102, and look at this basically like the floor of this book. It looks like it's right around like 65 to 70. So this would definitely be a great deal if you're a student who needs this book, and this is arguably also a pretty decent deal as well if you're able to flip it. But I can't sell it, so I'm ineligible. Now, one thing that would be interesting to know is that I wonder if this book is likely to be counterfeit. So I'm going to come over here to the book the books run counterfeit probability check. And let's go ahead and type that in. So it says it's unlikely. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go over to book finder, and I'm going to just type this into the buyback because I want to know what they're offering first. So look, this is crazy. Like basically Books Run is offering me 38 bucks for this book, and it's available for 37 bucks. So it looks like we also have Sell Back Your Book at 38, and then you have Valor Books at 29. So what I would personally do on a book like this is I just send an offer. This is Arb Deals. I doubt they would accept it because their feedback is actually pretty high. But you know, I'd send like, see, how much were they offering? They're offering 38. I mean, I don't know, if you send an offer for $25 and you pay free shipping, you get the book, like you can make $10 pretty easily. So, I mean, that's not like obviously the best deal, but it just shows you like this person can make so much more money selling it to a buyback. I mean, they make $1 more, but they wouldn't have to pay any fees. So, you know, that's what's crazy about that. We got Bruce in the chat. Good morning, Bruce. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, so we got the Tales of the Beetle. This is 90 bucks plus shipping. Let's go over here to Amazon. Okay, so it looks like that this listing is for, it looks like it comes with some sort of case, and it looks like this is the smaller book inside, and it looks like that's what this is here. So it looks like they don't actually have the collector chest that goes with it, but clearly if they did, this has some value. Like if you look at the Keep It chart, these sales down here at 180 plus, some of these are over 200. Like we look at these, like this is a sale right here at looks like 500, which is, I don't know why anyone would pay that much money for it. But then you have, you know, a couple of drops at 170, 200, and then some of these drops in new condition at 500. So like this thing definitely has some pretty crazy value. And if you go further back and expand the data, like you can also see that this book is selling for well over $200. But again, the thing is that it doesn't come with this, which is probably just like a book slip, like a book case. Yeah, so obviously the book is what is most valuable, but in some ways like the actual cover is probably very collectible as well. So that means that, you know, if you don't have that, it's probably going to be very hard to sell it. So let's see what this person has. So it looks like they clearly do have the book case. So they're at 146, which I mean arguably is, like if we look at the Keep It chart, 146 is still like not a bad deal considering that this has sold for well over $200 in the past. So I mean, this could even potentially be an Amazon to Amazon flip, but you know, for me, I don't generally like to spend that much money on a book because I'm thinking probably you would sell it for like 250, and you probably would have to wait a little bit as well. So it's also got a little bit of wear on it, but you can see that the next prices go up to 300, then 400. So it goes up pretty crazy. I would say that I would definitely buy this if it came with the actual, you know, the actual bookcase that this goes into. But let's just go ahead and see if possibly we can open this up on eBay. Is there other copies? We got 150 here with a bid, 199. Yeah, let's just actually see what's sold too as well. So it looks like even on eBay this has sold for $200. That's pretty crazy. 129. Yeah, this would have been a really good deal. 129, and this actually was not that long ago. This was January 20th. This was a good deal as well. December 11th for 109, best offer, and like 90 bucks. Like these are the books that you would want to buy. So totally, you know, this is a book that in the future would be a lead. So something that you could do is you could, let's see if the eBay searches are working. So basically with this ISBN input up here, there's this save search button. So like, let's say you wanted to get notified. I would say the min price, you'd probably want to be at least $45. And the reason why you'd probably want to min price above that is because like books like this would show up in your search and you don't really want to see books like that. So we'll say anything between 45 and like 125 will entertain. And then you can go ahead and click the little arrow button. So that's now part of the search. And then you can just save the search. So I don't know, recently I've been having trouble saving these, but the idea there is that they'll send you an email if that ever gets listed on eBay. Yeah, exactly, Steve. You need all the parts for sure for this to be worth it. So let's see who else we got in the chat. You got this. What's up, JV? What's up from Tennessee? Let's do it. Yeah, you need all the parts for sure, Steve. Let's go ahead and let's exit out of that. So like I said, Flipmine, I'm just going to be here looking for the highest listings. I'm curious to look at this book because I know this book actually can sell back for up to $100, but there's no way a buyback company would take this because it's chewed up at the bottom and also there. But I'm just curious to see what I want to know what third-party buybacks are basically paying for this right now. So let's go over here, put that in, and let's see what we got. Okay, so Availor Books is paying $80 for that book right now. Which, by the way, this, everybody in your local market, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, like these books come available pretty frequently for like under $40. So even if you can't sell them, which you probably can't sell them, like I can't sell these, but yeah, even if you can't sell them, like you can flip those to buyback companies for usually like $80 to $100 depending on the time of year. So that's why I wanted to look at that. And let's see, let's look at this book real quick, and then we'll head on over to some Keepa. Gary says, good sunny morning from Vegas. Gary, I know, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I'm going to get into selling books. I work from home and I can source while at work. That's awesome. Yeah, this is awesome to do if you work from home. Glenn says, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, nice to see you there. So let's just see. This is $25 on eBay. It looks like $25 on Amazon. The buy box is 107, which is crazy. And you know, I hope some of you who are starting to get the repetitions in, who are coming back to the stream, like start to like be able to look at Keepa charts and pretty much notice right away if this makes any sense at all. And like clearly, this makes no sense at all. Even this price at $26 makes no sense at all, because look at all the Keepa data. Like this book moves for right around $10. Like that's when the sales rank is dropping, and it's even at that, it's only selling once or twice per month, which tells me that this book just doesn't really have a ton of demand. Right, you would expect that the book would move a lot more if the price is cheaper. So, you know, in the past it has sold up to $30. So that is actually interesting. Like back in 2016, this book was selling for right around 45 to 50. So, not really sure why has been selling for less. I mean, you see that the price jumped up to 75. Nobody bought it. The most that anyone's ever bought this at for this year is actually 17.49. And then you can see that recently the price has just dropped right back down to 26. So. Clearly not a good deal, but it's interesting that book has sold for a little bit more in the past. All right, so let's go over to Keepa, and we got a couple of questions in here. So if anyone has questions, this is also like a live Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll switch over and we can talk about it here. Bruce says, I'm getting ungated for those big textbook brands. Oh, is getting ungated for those big textbook brands different than just getting an invoice of 10? That's a good question. You can get ungated in McGraw-Hill, like a specific subset of McGraw-Hill with just the 10, you know, the invoice of 10, that works. But all the other major publishers like Pearson and Cengage, they just don't accept applications. And the reason why is because there's just a lot of counterfeits. And the whole reason why they gated people in the first place was that there's just so many counterfeit textbooks on the market. Amazon just said, this is not worth it to us. So it's just, yeah, you can't even apply to get ungated in that, unfortunately. Supply fell to 0, says Steve. Yes. Okay. I'm assuming that's that other book. That's probably when it was much higher in price, right? Supply and demand, Steve says. Yes, supply and demand for sure. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's use the Keep It Deals page to see if we can find anything there. And by the way, over here in FlipMine, we have the auto refresher going on. So every 60 seconds, that's going to refresh. And occasionally what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and take a look back here to see if there's anything that looks interesting that pops up. And again, with FlipMine, it's going to be the newer listings. So it's unlikely that probably in the next 45 minutes or an hour that a great listing will pop up. But, you know, it does happen at least 4 or 5 times a day. So it's possible. Okay, so let's just go ahead and let's reset all of our filters here. And let's just try out some new filters on Keep the Deals. So one thing I want to say is that even though you're all here for books, you could use these for all of these different categories up here. So you can see that there are tons of other potential categories to do some flips in. And I know from experience that other people have told me that they've used this strategy for other platform or other categories, and it works really well. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead, and obviously we're looking at books. So that's the first thing we should do is we should select books. Okay. For the deal type, I'm going to click used because we're interested in used books. What we could do is we could also click new, by the way, because there are times when there are books where for some reason a third-party seller offers it in new condition and it's a massive price drop. So you could also look at new condition books as well. I've snagged some books doing that, but let's look for used books. It's probably going to give us the most meat in terms of like the most possible listings. I'm going to limit the drop interval to a day. So we're looking for books that have gone down in price literally just today. And we're going to see if any of those potentially could be some good deals. Then what we're going to do is let's have the drop percentage be let's say we want it to be at least like at least 30%. So we'll go anywhere from 30% to 100%. And we want the drop range to be at least, let's see, let's have it be at least 25 bucks. And we want the current price, obviously not to be up to 400, but let's go anywhere from between $5 to 18. So we're looking at cheaper books right now. And the sales rank will go up to, let's go up to 2 million. Again, my business models, I like to have books that sell, or I tend to find books that sell, not as quickly, but the margins on them are a lot better. So you don't necessarily need to do that, right? You can do 1 million or 500,000, whatever you want to do. And what I'm going to do is we can also filter here. So we can filter by sales rank if we want. And you can see that there's 185 listings that meet these criteria. And it looks like it's going to filter by sales rank. So let's just go and open up a few of these and just see what looks like could have potential. So this Osborne Beginner's book clearly has some decent value, right? It's moving at a new price around, I think right now the lowest, the new third-party price has been about $32, but it's been up to like 40 bucks in the past. And the used price has been a little bit higher than the third-party new price. And the first thing that I'm interested to know about this book is, what is the buy box at? Is the third-party new seller winning the buy box? Because if they're not winning the buy box, that actually means that there's a possibility that you can be selling this for more money in used condition if you're getting the used buy box. Now it says that I am restricted, so I would bet that this is an auto ungate, but you'd want to copy this ASIN, go over to Amazon Seller Central, and then see if we can actually get ungated in this. But if you look at the Keep a Chart, I mean, look what happened. Basically today, the used price went from 50 bucks down to 17. Now, it's not like this book was selling for 50 bucks in used condition, because you can buy this basically for $40 new. And again, thinking like a logical human being and putting yourselves in the shoes of the customer, would you rather spend $39.99 for the copy new and get it actually in 2 days, free delivery in 2 days? It does ship from Amazon, so it looks like this is a prime seller. Yeah, it's a prime seller right now, 104 in stock. Or would you rather pay 50 bucks in used condition? Like, obviously, a logical human being is not going to do that. So really, does this have any potential? Like, let's see, not really, because $40 is what this book is selling for new. It has sold a little bit higher in the past, but like I would say, if you want to move this, you'd probably sell it for $34.99. And I'd say you could probably be that close to the new price, considering that the sales rank is so good on this. And let's see what the used price on this is. So 17 plus $6. So you got $23.30. Like, there's just not any margin really for this. You'd actually lose money, right? But it's an interesting book just due to the fact that it did see a large decrease in price. Okay, what else we got here? Will we see post textbook drops? I'm not quite sure exactly what you mean by that, but anything in the book category which includes textbooks, if it has a drop, it'll show you those listings as long as it meets those filters. You can try ungating directly from SellerAmp. Yeah, that's also true. Yeah, you can also try doing that. Although I honestly haven't had like a ton of success doing that. Like, a lot of the times it says like manual ungate, or it'll say like it'll give me like an error or something. So sometimes you still have to go, but that is right. I know that is a feature. Okay. So no, not that book either. And what I'm going to do is, let's just go ahead. I'm just going to use my cursor and go over Keep a Charts that look interesting to me. And really what I'm looking for is to try to find some sort of stable price like up here, and then try to see a dip in price. So, this book looks like it has moved a couple times for 20 plus, and then, price went up to $69, and then it went all the way down to 10. So Keepa finds this book because it's kind of thinking like, hey, the price of this book was 70, now all of a sudden it's 10. That's a great deal. Which, if we look at Keepa, it isn't really a great deal, but it could be an okay deal. Like, the book has sold for up to $29, $30. But again, problem with this book is that it just doesn't really move very often. So you'd probably have to rely on exploiting the buy box in order for you to sell that. Okay, let's see. So Steve says, as textbook season slows down, we should see more textbooks showing up in this type of search. Yeah, I would say that makes sense to me. Definitely prices of textbooks should be starting to be on the decline. There are actually some books that are still going up in value as well, though, because the used offer count's going down. But you're right. We should see more books start to pop up that are textbooks. So same thing here. This book is really interesting. You see this book moving at 30, up to $30. it's moved for less in the past, like it's moved as low as 16. And we can see right now it's right around 10 bucks. So again, this wouldn't necessarily be an amazing deal, but back in February, this book was moving for close to 40 bucks. So what I would do with this book is open up the listing and just kind of see what the used offers look like. So you can see that basically $15.69 free shipping, and there are a number of copies there, 5 or 6 copies, and it goes up to about 30 bucks, and then it goes up to 60. So actually the market right now is right around that price. But what is interesting though is that this book has potential for selling up to 40. And let's see if there's anybody. There's at least one prime seller on the listing. They're in the buy box, but there's only one prime seller at 25. So this book probably, like, even when the price of this book in used conditions right around 20 to 25, like this book probably would sell for $39.99 in in the buy box. Like I think that would probably be a reasonable price. And one thing that we could try to do to see if that's true is we can click on any of these purple dots. This is the buy box price, and if you click on any of these, it'll show you basically the person's price when they went out of stock. So you can see the price was $37.94 when their stock went from 1 to 0 on December 1st. So what that tells me is that this prime seller probably sold that copy at $37.94. And let's see if we can find another one. So it looks like this person moved theirs at $29.98 as well. So I would bet you that this book has the potential for selling for up to $39.99 in terms of FBA. So you'd have to exploit the buy box a little bit, and I think the buy cost is right around 15. So this is a book that I probably wouldn't pick up because it's just not a great deal. It's like an okay deal. I think you could probably make money on this, but if you were to buy a book like this, really what you're relying on is exploiting the prime bump, which is not a bad thing necessarily, but I think that business model is just a little bit less likely to work long term. So you could try picking up one copy. I would bet you that eventually you could sell for $39.99. You make a pretty good profit. But one other thing that scares me a little bit is that in the past, this book has been really low in price. But probably the reason for that is just look how drastically different the used offer count was. Like back here, used offer count was really high, and now it's much lower. So that's probably why this book is now much higher in value. But I would say that in the current state of things, in the current market, if you set a tracker for this book for like $3 or $4, then that would actually be a good deal in my opinion, because you can see back here in October and November, the price went down to $189. So like, let's say it was $189 plus $4 shipping, then you're paying, $5.89. And now in order for you to be profitable, you don't really have to exploit the buy box. Like you could just sell it for right around what it's worth. And I'd argue that this is probably worth right around 25 bucks. So you can make a $7 profit, but probably you'd still want to try to exploit the buy box. And if you did, and I think you could probably get that sale, that'd be a better deal. So you could track that product for a couple bucks if you wanted to. That'd be an interesting little thing there. What else we got? On the Keep chart, what are the little circles? Used offers. Yeah, those little circles are going to indicate the buy box used price, and generally those are going to be of a prime seller. So if we go back here and we zoom in a little bit, so the first thing that you have to remember is that the way that you get this to show up on the Keep chart is by selecting the right filter, which is going to be this used buy box right here, this purple button. And then if you zoom in, when you have that checked, most of the time you're able to click these buttons and it'll tell you a lot of information. It'll tell you like when the offer is first found. So that tells you when they won the buy box. So it looks like they won the buy box November 17. You can see when they're last seen, December 4th, which shows up here on the right. That tells you when their stock quantity went to 0. And so this person only had 1 in stock, which means they only had 1 copy available. They went out of stock on December 4th. The reason why they'd go out of stock is probably because they sold it. It's not the only reason. Other reasons why they could have gone out of stock is they sold it on another marketplace, so they took it off. Could be that they just removed it from the inventory because they lost it. It could be that they got restricted on it. It could be that they got a high pricing error. So just because they go out of stock doesn't mean they sold it, but you can infer that if you look at the Keep chart and you look at the sales rank drop right at that time, you could probably infer that the book actually sold at that price. Okay. So then you can also use your cursor to hover over the price here. And you can also determine like what the book would have sold for. So you see that when this book went out of stock on December 3rd, or December 4th, actually, the used price was $37.94. So that tells you what the buy box price is and likely what they moved it at. So factually, somebody did sell this book for 37. Well, I'm making an educated guess that someone probably sold this book as a prime seller in the used buy box for $37.94. And I would bet you if we come back in a couple weeks, I bet you this copy's gone. This $25.49, because I think that definitely is what the book is worth, and I think there's clearly people willing to buy this book. So I think that book will sell pretty quickly. If that makes sense. So yeah, there's that. Good question. See, that's we had. Okay, cool. Let's go back here. Let's do a little bit of let's go to Flipmine and click, see if anything else has populated here. Okay, so this looks interesting. This Understanding Cognitive version 1.3. You can see that the eBay price is $37.99. The inferred lowest offer is about $78. That looks interesting. And then we have this calculus book, which looks like, I see a little blue ribbon at the top, which means it's probably like a annotated teacher instructor edition or something like that. And where is it at? Yeah, so it's an instructor's edition. So you want to stay away from instructor's editions. Not allowed to sell those unless specifically the listing is for an instructor's edition. All right, so $37.99 for this book. You can see the buy box is 69, one new for 85. Let's take a look at the Keep It chart. A lot of sales right around 45. So this book is definitely, you could say it's a little bit undervalued, but it's not that undervalued. In January, February, and March of last year, it did sell a few times for between 75, and looks like the most that this ever sold for is 96. So there's potential for it selling that high. We zoom out, look at data a little bit further in the past. It was moving pretty well at around $50. And it looks like the new third party price has kind of been pretty consistently between 60 to 80. So yeah, I would say that this book is something you'd want to send an offer on, but this is Goodwill, and Goodwill is not going to entertain any offers. I wish Goodwill would. That would be awesome. But, you know, what would you need to be in for this book to make it worth it? You can actually see I'm tracking this book at $15.66. So, you know, if I could buy it $15.66 free shipping, what I would probably do is, you know, worst case scenario, I'd say I'm going to sell this book for $45, and you'd make a, let's go up here, you'd make a $15 profit. So I'd say 45 is what I'd probably list at the min, and then max I'd probably go up right up to the new price of 85. So I'd probably go up to like 45 min. I'd probably go like 82, you know, in terms of new. So that's what I would want to be at to make that a good deal, 1566. So, you know, obviously I think even if this person was accepting offers, they probably wouldn't accept that low. But remember, there's just so many books out there that most of us are going to have more time than we have capital. So it'd be better to spend more time finding really great deals rather than, you know, just buying anything that looks pretty decent. So I don't think anything else on Flipmine looked too interesting. So let's just keep moving along on Keep It Deals. Let's see if we can find anything else. And by the way, if you're enjoying the stream so far, then I would appreciate a lot if you hit the thumbs up button. Looks like 7 people already have, so I appreciate that. But that actually does really help out the channel. It's the best way to help out the channel. Just hit the thumbs up button. But yeah, if you're enjoying the stream, let me know. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'd be more than happy to answer them as they come along. And I am noticing that more and more people behind the scenes are starting to send me messages on Facebook and Instagram, which is awesome. But what I'm starting to tell some people is like, hey, show up to the live stream if you can, and put those in the chat, because I'd love to answer those for everybody while you're here. And also it's easier so that you know, I can take that time and use it to make more content or to do other things, because I am actually getting really busy with school, and also I have a newborn son and everything. And yeah, so okay, so this human resource says custom. That's interesting. It says custom edition. This Keep It chart is really interesting for the fact that in February and March of the previous year, it was selling for about $4, and then all of a sudden it started selling for like above $60, and now all of a sudden it's back down to a really low amount of money. So looks like this book definitely ebbs and flows, which is really interesting. So it does show some textbook seasonality, but this does say custom, which means that this could be a custom edition. Yeah, it says Wiley Custom Learning Solutions. So I'm not really sure as to who or what school this is custom for, but this was published in 2015. Again, if we look at the Keep It chart, what's really interesting about this book is you kind of see this used offer count kind of just dip, like so, go up and they'll dip, go up, dip, go up, dip. And you can actually even see how the used price, basically it goes all the way down really low, then it goes back up. It goes all the way down low, goes back up, all the way down low. So there's actually history to show that that's a repeatable pattern. But here's the issue that I found is that a lot of times when you look at Keep It charts and you see patterns and you're like, okay, this has gone down and then up, down and then up, and it's done that the last 3 or 4 years. Then it's like you try to buy it, and then for whatever reason, the year you buy the book in, like that pattern stops happening. So it's just a reminder that, past performance does not predict future performance. So, past results don't guarantee future performance. So even though that could happen again, I wouldn't necessarily say go crazy on this and buy a whole bunch of copies. I would say if you're going to try this out, maybe buy one copy, and then if it sells, maybe buy another copy or something like that. Now, what's interesting is obviously Amazon's giving the buy box at a really high price. So like, for example, this person won the buy box at $118.99 despite the lowest use price being right around like $10, which is pretty crazy. The question is, did they actually move it? And they did move it. You can see that their stock, they went out of stock, they went 1 to 0. But notice that when they went out of stock here on January 6th, which is when they're last seen, the price on January 6th was $15. So they did sell it, but they sold it at a price of 15. So they basically wasted all of this time, basically 2 months on the listing, trying to get an insane buy box price when they probably should have just been more realistic, and they probably would have got to sell. Like, imagine if they would have spent this 2 months and they had listed their book Prime at $29.99 and they had won the buy box. Like, they probably would have sold it, but instead they had to lower it down to $17, and they ended up not making as much money. So yeah, this is a book that has maybe some potential in the future, but this is a book that usually I would stay away from as well. I probably wouldn't buy that book. And let's see what else we got here. Do I ever buy bulk pallets? Good question. I've never bought a pallet before. I've always just done online book arbitrage. I mean, I've done a lot of like local deals for textbook stuff like that, like going to universities and meeting people on campus and doing stuff like that. But no, I've never done bulk pallets. I've always just been a picker. Like I want to find books that generally sell around $100. Like that's my goal. Obviously, not every book I have sells for $100, but the average sales price for my books are $100. How much emphasis do you put on stock quantity per offer? For example, if there's a repricing war between two listings, do you look at it different as a listing, if the listing has 10 quantity versus 1? Absolutely. So there's two different things that you'll see when there's a repricing war. One is that the repricing war will be between like 4 or 5 or up to 10 people. And in that case, the more sellers that they are, again, same thing, the more stock quantity there is, or I should say, the more offers that there are available, the less likely you should be willing to buy some of those copies, because if there are truly that many people in the repricing war, then this book should just continue to fall and fall and fall, and then you should pick it up at a cheaper price when it gets there. If I ever have it where there's 2 people in a repricing war and there's like one person who has 10 copies and the other person only has 1 copy, what you could do is just buy the 1 copy from the seller that has that 1 copy, because what it could do is it could shoot up the price of the other seller, because now they're not competing with anyone. But what I'll say, Mike, is just in general, if there are people who have high stock quantity, I want to stay away from those listings, because they truly have a lot of market power. Because if you have a book that only sells like, if it's a textbook and let's say in the off season it's only selling like 3 or 4 times a month, and this person has 15 or 20 copies, like they can basically completely own the entire market by setting the price, because they have so many copies that they can just lower the price and tank the listing. So yeah, I would say that I try not to buy books where you have 2 people in a repricing war where one of them has a lot of stock quantity. So that's how I approach that. Baby duties, I see, exactly. Do you advertise to buy student books on campus? How does that work? Good question, Rosemary. So I went to UC San Diego here when I was a student, and there's 2 Facebook groups. There's a textbook exchange group, there's a free and for sale group, and people would just post their textbooks in there. And when I was going to campus every day, like, it was super simple because I had to be there anyways for class, and I would just go through all the different the posts that day, and I'd refresh like every hour, kind of like I do a Flipmine, and there'd be books all the time that were pretty good value. Like you could someone asked $25 for a book that's worth 80, or someone asked 50 for a book that's worth 150. So what I would do is just schedule the pickup. So like I would be going to campus obviously once per day, and I'd be there on campus once per day, and then basically I'd just meet them in the same place, and I'd meet them in like 5-minute time intervals. So I'd say, hey, I'll meet you at 1:15, I'll meet you at 1:20, I'll meet you at 1:25, and just be super communicative. And then it's obviously lacks the ability to scale because books are heavy, and it's like the most books you could carry, Rosemary, is going to be like maybe 7 or 8 books before it actually starts getting really heavy because they're textbooks. So I would say if you live near a college campus, join their textbook exchange group, join the free and for sale group. Just pop your head in there every once in a while, because yeah, there are definitely books that could be valuable. Like for example, I just picked this book up today. It's actually a chemistry book, which is funny. So I'm doing a new series. There's gonna be a new video that's gonna be coming out on the channel, on my channel, probably on Monday. But I'm gonna be doing a $0 to $1,000 Amazon FBA book challenge, and you'll see exactly how I go from $0 and start to get some capital. But the point is, um, one thing that you should be doing is doing a lot of local pickups on Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, especially if you don't have much capital to get started, because I only paid 25 bucks for this book. And let's see what, and I'm honestly only doing it I'm doing it for the content, because I don't really like to go pick up books, even though there are good books out there, just because like it does take a lot of time. So let's go over here to Keepa here. So let's just type in the ISBN of this book here. 01352656628. So this is a book I just picked up for 25 bucks. This is an AP edition. And ironically, I could actually use this for my class because this is like one of the newer textbooks. But like you can see the buy box of this book is $186. Keep a chart on this, looks really good. It probably won't sell. I mean, it could sell for that much, but new third-party sellers have been on this listing for as low as 125. So I think this book easily moves for 100. And my buy cost was not 1,000. My buy cost is 25 bucks. So I mean, this is even calculating my prep center fees and stuff into it, but I mean, $45 profit's pretty good. So there's a lot of potential for sure around textbooks or around college campuses, but like I said, it's a lot harder to scale it, which is why in the $0 to $1,000 challenge that is going to be dropping on my YouTube channel, I think it works perfect for just getting starting capital and then transitioning that into OA, because it takes time to drive places, it takes time to meet people and stuff like that, but it's great definitely for getting started. Steve says, I can see a new business model: buy repricing order books at the bottom and sell in the bump. Yeah, exactly, Steve. That's what we've been doing, Steve. We've been doing that. So I've been trying to teach people is repricing wars, buy it when it gets low, set a tracker so that you get notified when it gets to your price, and then you just flip it for what it's worth. And there's tons of books that we sell like that all the time. So it is definitely something that is very lucrative, I will say, from experience. Okay, let's see what we show. Okay, we're good. Let's go over to FlipMine quickly. Is anything newly listed here? Ooh, this is interesting. This is a D&D book that looks like it has some value, but it's obviously probably not going to be worth it. But let's just look at the Amazon listing just to see if this book varies in price at all, because this is a book that we might be able to set a tracker for. Gary says, what price do students sell their books out for in person? I mean, they sell for anything. Like I said, if you go to Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp or Craigslist, there'd be people who are trying to sell a $10 book for $50, and then there's people who sell a $150 book for 10 bucks. So it's just all over the place, and you just have to, do your due diligence, and obviously you have to do some, you have to do some scanning and stuff like that, but scanning through the actual listings, I mean. But yeah, it's super lucrative. So in this challenge, Gary, that I'm going to be posted on Monday, I think I only did 2 pickups that video, but yeah, I mean, I think one book pickup, I paid $10 for a book, and I just sold it to a buyback for like 60 bucks. And another pickup, I think the second pickup of that video was I paid like 15 bucks for 2 books that I think will combine sell for like 80 or 90 bucks. So there are definitely deals in your local marketplace, on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Craigslist, even Nextdoor is pretty good. But like I said, it's just not very scalable. So if you're looking, like you could totally pick up like probably at least 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 books a day, but you'd have to schedule it around when you're picking stuff up. So let's see. ADAF says, will SellerAmp show if the book is restricted? Yeah, it does. So like up here, we're on SellerAmp. You can see under eligibility, it says no. So it tells you that you're not restricted. And if anyone, wants to use SellerAmp, one way to support the channel is I have an affiliate link that gives you like I think it's a free 14-day trial. So let me know behind the scenes and you can get a free trial. Okay, so this book right here, we just found on FlipMine. It definitely is not profitable, but I wanted to look at it because any book that has a lot of value, by a lot of value, I mean sells for over $100 consistently. I like to look at the Keepa chart to see just what has happened with this book. Has there been times when this book has been really low in the past where it would have been a good arbitrage opportunity? for example, like this book was in stock basically, 2017 through 2020. Amazon was selling it for 26. Clearly, this book has a ton of value because as soon as Amazon went out of stock, the price of this book shot back up. So this is actually a potential Amazon to Amazon flip from buying this new and selling it in used condition. Because if Amazon ever comes back in stock, and like let's say they have just a little bit of quantity available, then it's there's potential for you to flip this. So what you could do is you can come up here and you could track. I'm already actually tracking it. So I'm tracking this for $30 Amazon new condition, $30 Amazon third party new condition. And if that ever happens, like if it ever gets to that price, what I'll do is I'll look at the stock quantity of Amazon. So like if Amazon says they have 20 in stock or 50 in stock, I'd definitely buy like probably multiple. I'd probably buy like at least 5. But if it says like 1,000 in stock, probably what I'll do is I'd probably just periodically check back in to see if it's likely that they go out of stock, because clearly this book has a tremendous amount of value after Amazon's done selling it. But one of the things that will prevent you from being able to sell this book for a lot of money is if Amazon stays in stock, right? So that's the downside. That's kind of the risk that you play. The good news is that in some way you can think like you're buying an asset with this book, because I mean, I don't know if that's the best way to look at it, but clearly this book has way more value than $30. So, when Amazon's out of stock, people are willing to pay more than that. So that's just an interesting book there. Okay, we got some more questions here. Watch out for old textbooks and restricted books. Yeah. Books that you pick up, you send them directly to Amazon. Yeah. Like here's another book. So here's another book that I just picked up as part of the 0 to 1,000 challenge. Here's another book that I picked up as part of the $0 to $1,000 challenge. So these are all just local pickup books that I found, and basically all those 3 books that I just showed you, I found in local college textbook like exchange books. So just join the Facebook group. You just have to send a request. Sometimes you have to like try to prove that you go to that school, but like I said, it's great for finding amazing deals on books. It just doesn't happen very often, and it's not super scalable because you have to go drive to the person, right? But definitely is lucrative. Like, I mean, between those 3 books there, like, easily at least $100 profit, if not more. Do you sell foreign language books? Where would you find those? Ooh, that's a good question. Foreign language books. Do you mean specifically books that teach you like how to, I guess what you mean is books that are in other languages. I will if there's a Keepa listing for it, but generally there probably aren't too many books that I sell like that. Basically, whatever Keepa deals will find me, or what Keepa product finder, or whatever I can find on eBay. Like I'll flip anything that has a Keepa list, or that has an Amazon listing and has a Keepa chart that goes with it. So I would say probably the most frequent ones are Spanish textbooks that are actually meant for U.S. students, like to learn Spanish. That's probably the ones that I see and sell the most often, but not a ton. Gary says, I'm ungated for Pearson and McGraw-Hill books. I think the secret is some combination of being old, selling on Amazon for a long time, and keeping a high feedback percentage. Awesome, Gary. Yeah, I think that there's probably some truth to that. I personally was ungated as well in all textbooks. And then, like I said, back in January 2021, I sold 3 counterfeit textbooks unknowingly, which suspended my account. And then I got basically ungated. I got gated in those categories. So I'm partially ungated in McGraw-Hill, but Gary, that's sick that you're ungated in Pearson and McGraw-Hill. Are you also ungated in Cengage? Because if you are, then maybe I need to send some books to you and we could work out a commission split, because some books that I have to sell on eBay, and I'd rather just sell them on Amazon. Greg says, I send them to Amazon, FBM, or eBay. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's go back over. Oh, one sec. I stopped local pickups once I went away. I forgot how lucrative it could be. Yeah, it's super lucrative. But like I said, the problem with it is scalability. I can go pick up like let's say, I could pay $25 for a $100 book, but maybe it takes me 20 minutes to drive there. Then it takes me 5 or 10 minutes waiting around for the person. Then it takes 25 minutes to drive back. It's like, then it also took you an hour worth of time. And in that hour's worth of time, you could have been sourcing online. So it's definitely not bad at all. I would 100% recommend local pickups if you're somebody who's new to the game and you need capital, because that's the way that I built capital. It's the easiest way to build it, in my opinion. But it also is just not super scalable, because you're only one person. You can only drive so many places at once. So this book is interesting because this book was selling this January textbook season for up to $60, and now it's all the way back down to $7, which is kind of right in line with what this book is outside of textbook season. So one thing that we can do is look at how crazy this book is. So this is a great example of a textbook, and I'm actually going to save this for part of my Keep Online Arbitrage book course that I'm becoming with, because as I look through thousands and thousands of listings, you notice patterns. Like this is clearly a pattern of a book that goes down in value and goes up in value, down in value. And there's only 2 people juicing this listing right now. So you can see that they're basically selling this for about $3. I mean, they're basically tracking this for about $3. Only one person actually. So there's actually only one person juicing this listing. And what I mean by that is there's a very predictable pattern of this book where in the off season it goes down to $2 or $3, and then on the during the on season it goes up to $28, $30, or maybe even more. And if you're a prime seller, you can probably even exploit the buy box a little bit. But clearly there is data from this past January that this book has gone up to $50. Like some of these sales were at 50, and if we click this purple button, like you can see that this person's stock quantity is changing. And what's actually crazy about this is, let's see, when the stock quantity of this guy went from 3 to 2, that was January 12th. The January 12th would have been right around here. So this person moved their copy at $92, which is crazy. And then let's say they moved another at, this would have been January 27th. So January 27th would have been, they moved at 64. So they basically moved, they had up to 4 copies, and they moved at least 2 copies, if not 3 copies, above $60, which is pretty crazy. And that could be the prime seller that, that could be the person who is actually, let's see, are they still in stock? That could be the prime seller who, oh wait, that's in Canvas, who's actually tracking this. So one thing that we'll do is, it's Mama's Media. So Mama's Media might be a person who does a lot of Keepa. I don't know who Mama's Media is, but you could also try to storefront stock them and see what they got. So they're 99% books, obviously. And you can see that they sell McGraw-Hill education books. They sell some Cengage. So clearly they're ungated in Cengage as well. They also sell HarperCollins. So they actually sell probably like kids books as well, which is interesting. But yeah, you could go over to the storefront and you can see like what sort of products that they're offering. Like if you wanted to find more books like this, it'd probably be really repetitive, and you might need to use like, I don't know if you can use tactical arbitrage on Amazon, but clearly this book has the potential to sell for well above what you could buy it for in the off season. So this is something that I would personally track. So I'd say track this book for $3, and this is not including shipping. So if you buy it for $7, then and you flip it for $29.99, you need to make a $8 profit. You flip it like the guy who actually moved a copy at 65. That's crazy. You would have made $38, and he also moved at 92. So, or she, Mama's Media is probably she. But one thing that I will say about books like this again, though, is that just remember that past performance does not predict, or what would it say? Future performance is not guaranteed, right? Based upon the past performance, if that makes sense. So, you could totally buy 1 or 2 or 3 copies of this, and then September comes up, and then the price doesn't go up at all. So this is probably going to stop doing this as soon as there's a newer edition, which it doesn't look like there's a newer edition available. This came out in 2015, and if you come up here and you click if you click the little Google tab, then you would be able to see if there's a newer edition. This looks like an older edition here, so that's interesting. All right, there's probably some questions. Let's get back to here. Cengage also ungated. That's insane, Gary. Yeah, that's insane. If you ever were interested in commission deals where I could find books and we can split profit, let me know, because that'd be cool. Why, when I happen in the stream, do I feel the need to evacuate my bowels? I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope that's not the vibe I'm giving off, but that is interesting for sure. All right, let's go over to FlipMine, see if anything else posted that looks interesting. Yeah, I don't see anything that is interesting. Let's look at book search too quickly, and let's go from there. So book search 2 is just looking for books that are a little bit less valuable, between $50 and $80. So like here's an example of a book that could potentially be something. 19 is eBay price, and for lowest price is 47 on Amazon. Whether or not that's true is all going to be quickly determined by looking at the Keep chart. So 27 to 50. So let's just quickly look at these, and I won't do too deep of analysis on this, but 30 bucks here on eBay. Looks like 30 bucks is the lowest price on Amazon. Yeah, not gonna actually move for $80 one time, which is kind of crazy, but that book is not really worth $30. 19 bucks for this one. Lowest use price is right around 16. You go down, you keep a chart. This book has some seasonality, so this is an interesting book because in September this book was selling for upwards of 90, and it even sold a couple times for over $100, which is kind of insane. And it also has a May textbook season, so this is a great example of some books also have a May textbook season, so you can see that went up to 80. And then all of a sudden, you can actually just see how the used offer count on this is just skyrocketed. And you notice that the used price of this book is just going down. So is there a new edition of this available? It looks like there is a newer edition. And you can see that this newer edition just basically came on the listing, or just basically got, put on Amazon. Like you can see that it's, actually it's not true. It's been on for 984 days, but clearly all of a sudden people started needing this. So this must mean that college courses started requiring this book, which means that obviously the market's going to be split between these two copies, but obviously the newer edition's going to have much more of the, it's going to have more of the bulk. But last September and this January, like clearly this book still, like at least in September, this book sold a lot. Now, one thing I'd be interested to look at is let's see the sales volume of January of last year. So I'm going to scroll into 2022. Wait, one second. I'm going to go to 2022 and notice, okay, so here's a great example. Notice that in January of 2022, the sales rank of this book was amazing, right? Great stereotypical U shape. And then January textbook season this year actually sucked, right? The reason why it sucked is because you don't see that same drop. I mean, sales rank still got pretty good, like got down to 70,000, but clearly it wasn't enough to keep up with the demand or with the supply, because supply just kept going up even though the sales rank kept going down. So what this tells me is that this book is probably going to continue to lose value, and the reason is because this newer edition has come on the listing and there's more people buying this newer book. So that's not a book that I would buy. This physical, that's the newer edition. Pop-up, comma. So it looks like 27 bucks over here. We go to the keep a chart. I mean, it's selling for right around there, so it's not going to be a great deal. All right, let's go and let's take a look at, see what else we got here. How do you storefront stock for other books? That's a great question, Jasmine. It's very difficult to do. I honestly don't do it that much. I would just say if you notice someone on a listing like the one we were previously looking at, where clearly this has a textbook pattern and this person probably bought a couple copies in the off season and sold them in during the season. If you were to go look at their storefront, it's just possible that you could, just clicking through some of the listings, like you could find some books that exhibit similar patterns, and therefore you could find potential leads that way. I personally don't do that because I'm not sure how lucrative that would be, like if that would be worth your time. But it just shows you that there are other people doing exactly what I'm doing, and clearly if you could figure out other books that they're tracking, it could be helpful if you track them as well. I have a quick question. I sent a shipment on January 5th and I didn't do the labels. I chose Amazon to do it for me. Each item for 55 cents. It's been almost 4 weeks my shipment is being delivered. Yeah. But it didn't move into the checking process since January 9th. I'm concerned if any of you face that problem. I would, if you can, get Amazon seller support on the phone. So you should be able to create a case that, where they basically would just call you and then just see if you can talk to them, say, hey, what's going on with this specific shipment ID? So your shipment should have an ID associated with it. And you don't necessarily have to call them first. You can just send them a message, say, please let me know what's going on with this box. But it should, on Amazon Seller Central, tell you the reason. Like it probably just says receiving. Does it say receiving still? Sometimes it just takes them a long time to receive it. But I would say contacting Amazon Seller Support is probably a good end with the best result. So I hope that was helpful. Probably wasn't too helpful, but that's what I've done. And that whenever I have a problem, I just contact Amazon Seller Support until I get an answer and get it fixed. Mike says, is it weird to be engaged? Or it is weird to be engaged in things like Pearson and Cengage when you're new? Or is it weird? Is it not just based on experience? Yeah, I mean, there's new sellers. There's no way you're going to be ungated in any of those. Like you're not going to be ungated in McGraw-Hill probably. You're not going to be ungated in Cengage or Pearson. And the reason is because they have no reason to trust you. Like you just started selling. They have no reason to believe that what you're selling is also, is authentic, right? I guess what I should say is that there's a doubt that they've had so many issues in the past with counterfeit textbooks, specifically with those brands, that they can't just let anybody who's new just show up and start selling them. And even for sellers like me, like I've been selling since 2016, like even I can't sell them, even though I've been selling very long. But part of the reason why is, again, because back in January 2021, I had sold a couple counterfeit textbooks unknowingly, and they got test buyed by, I believe it was McGraw-Hill. And, basically they said, hey, a couple of these are counterfeit, show us the invoice. I didn't have an invoice. My account got suspended, so I had to basically submit a plan of action. It was a whole mess. I got my account reinstated, and it's in good health now. But lesson learned, clearly there are books that are counterfeited, so they don't just let anyone sell books, for sure. So I did, and they said you have to wait till February 11th to open an investigation, but I still don't know if anyone here sees that problem for us. Oh, it's your first shipment. That's really sucky. It's your first shipment. One of the reasons why it also takes so long is you have Amazon label your products as well. So there's going to be probably some sort of downtime between when Amazon starts, once they open it and once they actually start to label it. One thing that you would look into, especially if you're not in the US, you could be in the US, but if you're not in the US, then you could look into getting a prep center, and a prep center will actually label it for you. And I think that'll be better. Jasmine, good question. Do I sell new textbooks? I don't. I don't ever sell books in new condition, although I've heard that there are people who have done that. I just think it's a little bit riskier, because especially if you're sourcing used books, like the likelihood of there being something wrong with that used book where it's obvious that it's not new, like just it's possible for the customer to obviously know that this is not a new book, like you are misrepresenting this, so it's more likely to get negative feedback. But with that said, I've heard of people who sell their books in new condition, even when they're used, and I'm sure they get away with it most of the time. I just, as a personal preference, don't do that. You're welcome, no worries. One day, Joji, no one will be so blind, the world will have no blindness, no glasses like mine and yours. You'll remember the odd habit of having to clean them. Yeah, I mean, I'm wearing glasses right now just to give my eyes some oxygen. I'm in the US. Yeah, no worries. Thanks for the stream. Of course, no worries at all. If you have any other questions, feel free to put in the chat. You're welcome, Jasmine. You're welcome for the feedback. And feel free to keep the questions coming. I love answering questions and being helpful if I can. All right, let's go and do a little bit more sourcing. Probably not going to go too much longer, but maybe not too much longer at all, honestly. But let's quickly look at what we got here. This Greece is interesting. Look, eBay price 20, lowest inferred offer 121. I highly doubt that that's accurate, but I'd be happy to look at it, see what the Keep It chart looks like. So this book is $94. The question is it selling? And the answer is it factually has sold twice in the last 3 months. Once for 95, another time for 84. Now before that, this year, you can see it moved here for 99 and moved a couple times here for over 100. That's crazy. Like that, it sold there for 100 and for at least 170. Do I have collectible offer? Yeah. Wait, I have collectible. Okay, never mind. Probably sold collectible actually. I didn't have my collectible filter. So it's sold collectible condition. I know the blue line's hard to see, but collectible offer count went from 2 to 1. So it's sold probably at the collectible offer price, which would have been $107, which is pretty crazy. Then it moved a couple times down here for 30, which is probably more realistic. Moved here for 60. So this is a book that clearly doesn't move a lot, but at $20 in acceptable condition, like, yeah, it is all beat up and stuff, but this is a book that definitely has value. So what you notice about it though is that it's in terrible condition. Like, looks like it has water damage. It's all beat up. So I wouldn't buy it just because the condition's so bad on it. But clearly this book has value. If you go back 3,000 days, you can see that 2022 sold for about. Actually, that's what we just looked at. Let's look a little bit further back. So in 2020, like this book was moving for $30. It hadn't moved a couple times for up to 50. So this is a book that is interesting. It definitely has sold for some pretty significant money recently, but I wouldn't buy it because this is more than a second time book. This is like a 10th time book. So you know what I mean about that. So let's see what else we got. What's up, Seth? If y'all don't know this man, Seth, you got to go check out his channels as well. He does eBay to Amazon. He does a lot of electronics. He's got some great series on his channel. He's got some great videos. So check out Checkmate Flips if you don't know who that is. Bottom line is don't sell books as new. Yeah, that's what Gary says. And when in doubt, trust Gary is what I'd say. I just recently got engaged in Pearson and Cengage. Wow, that's actually insane. You gotta, JV, you gotta DM me about how that happened. Because if that's true, that's pretty insane. And I've never sold books on Amazon FBA. I've sold some RA items, but I would say just apply and see what happens if new sellers are looking to get engaged. Yeah, for most of the books that I'm talking about, JV, is that, at least for me, it could be different because I'm only talking about my experience, but at least for me, I go to try to, I take that the ASIN and go over to Amazon Seller Central, try to add a product, and it says we're not accepting applications. So it could be it could be possible that it's like a subcategory. It's not exactly Pearson or Cengage. It could be like, it might not be Cengage branded. It might be like Cengage, like a specific sub variation that you're getting approved for. What's up, Paul? Yo, you're probably ending soon, but this is as soon as I can join. Yeah, I definitely am gonna be ending here soon, but thanks for joining. You all are awesome. There's 27 people here. There's a lot of people, which is really awesome. And actually, I think it's a good idea to end out the stream here soon. For those of you who are watching the YouTube channel, there's gonna be a new YouTube video coming out next couple of days. It's all about starting Amazon FBA with $0 and exactly what I would do if I had no money. And we're gonna try to go to 0 to 1,000. I don't know. We'll see if the series even, like, if people find it interesting. But I honestly love local pickups, and that's what it's really all about. Is free book pickups, going out, getting the pickups, generating some capital by selling to buyback companies, then finding some textbooks that have some value, and then trying to build our way up to 1,000. And the goal is, the end part of that is like, okay, once you have some capital, then actually start doing online book arbitrage. But if you don't have any money, there's really not any way for you to do online book arbitrage or any online arbitrage in general. Appreciate you, Seth. Always cool show, even though I was like, yeah, I appreciate. All right, you're gonna watch it. Awesome. Yeah, Seth also, for those of you who don't know, he also has a challenge that was similar to that. He didn't start with $0, but his goal was to sell a certain amount of, like, to certain volume or certain amount of money on Amazon. So he also got a series. So check out his channel if you haven't. He's got some cool stuff over there. But any last minute questions before I head off? Because if not, then we're gonna peace out. But I'll just hang out 1 or 2 more minutes if anyone has a question, and you can say goodbye. Oh, last thing I'm gonna plug is our Discord. So there's about 65, I think, people in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, it's a free community. It's not that one. I almost just sent everyone the wrong one. Invite people. Copy. Okay, edit invite. All right. So we're gonna make this never generate a new link. Copy. Okay, so if you're not in here, then go ahead and join the Discord. Tom says, I have some subset of titles in Cengage McGraw-Hill that have shown that I'm unrestricted in, but it feels like a trap. Yeah, I mean, just be careful that what you're sending is authentic. So just do your best due diligence. Make sure you're using the counterfeit probability books run calculator check to make sure that at least what you're sending is likely not to be counterfeit. Will you do it on a new store? Not even sure if that's possible. No, I'm not able to open up a new account, but basically the beginning of the series is just going to be finding undervalued books that you can sell to buyback companies, and you can just get PayPal money, like, and get quick cash, and then we'll just go into, like, buying normal books eventually once we get a little bit higher. But I think the goal is probably to go from 0 to 500 as quickly as possible. Hopefully that won't take too long, and then buy a couple of softwares. So I'm gonna do it like, I'm gonna pretend like as if I didn't have anything. I don't even have a barcode scanner. Love the 0 to 1,000. All right, cool. So I think that'll be full. Sigil. I'm sure Sigil. If I'm mispronouncing, I really apologize. You can let me know behind the scenes. I'm sorry. Peace out. Goodbye. See you later, Seth. Have a good one. Definitely up for the 0 to 1,000. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Gary. When in doubt, trust Gary. That's what I've learned. Peace. No worries. And more that I'll send it in and then suddenly have the door slam shut. Yeah, 100%. I understand what you mean, Tom. That would not be good. New store takes a while before you're getting paid. Yeah. Also, if you start a new store, that's the biggest problem, is that Amazon holds money in your account because they don't know if they should be trusting you yet, because they don't know if you're scamming people. They need a little bit of data to prove whether or not you're actually, like, a legitimate seller. So they'll actually hold some money in reserve. So we're gonna pretend like I already have an account that doesn't have reserves. So I guess it's maybe a little bit inaccurate to say that you could just start selling books and start getting the money, but it's more about the principle for like how to find books and how to get to the point where you don't have any money. How do you build enough capital by just basically buying stuff in the local marketplace that then enables you to transition to online arbitrage? Because one of the things that I realized from a lot of my audience members is that some people might have like 1 or 2,000 to play with, but in the grand scheme of things, if you want to be successful in online book arbitrage, like you have to spend money. So, you're going to need to have some startup capital for sure. Good series to do. Yeah. So stay tuned. That should be coming out either Sunday or Monday. And I'm super excited because I think it'll be fun to see some content where I'm not just sitting at a desk. So that's all I got for you. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace out and have a good one.